I had a follower send me their mimic/doppelganger story, and it is terrifying. According to her, it all kicked off in 2021, and her husband would be gone a lot because he was in the military. He would be like out in the field for 2 to 3 weeks at a time, and during those times, she would just feel a presence in her home. At the time, this really freaked her out because she was pregnant with their first child, their daughter, and so she would light prayer candles every single night before she went to bed. It would just give her comfort. And she would just leave them lit throughout the night. And one night she wakes up and they're all out. And she thinks it's weird, but she has to go to the bathroom. So she kind of just ignores it, gets up. And as she's going to the bathroom, she hears what sounds like a woman singing from her daughter's nursery, which is literally right next to the bathroom, like singing, humming. She said it sounded like a lullaby. The nursery at the time was just being used for storage because, of course, she was pregnant. When she leaves the bathroom, like rushing to her daughter's nursery, the humming is just getting louder and louder and louder, and it doesn't stop until she actually opens up the door. Obviously, there was no one there humming. And about 2 weeks later, her husband is home from the field. Well, her husband had just finished using the bathroom. He's kind of coming out to the living room, and when he sees her, he like jumps out of his skin. He's so scared. And she like laughs. She just thinks like maybe she startled him. And he says to her, "Did you just sit down there?" And she says, "No, why?" Like she's on the couch with her cookies, she's under a blanket, she's comfy. And that's when her husband tells her that he just saw her walk into their daughter's room. And he was really confused when this happened because it looked just like her, except for some reason she had long black hair. Over the next couple of months, her husband swears this keeps happening. Like he will see the back of her head, except it's never the back of her head. She just has this long black hair, but she's always wearing the same clothes and it looks just like her. And she'll be walking into a room as he's kind of like walking past. In October of 2021, she gave birth to their first child, their daughter, and she found out shortly after that that she was pregnant with their son. And nothing happens until about a month after her son is born in 2022. And of course, it was one of those times where her husband was gone in the field and she's going to the bathroom. I don't know why the bathroom is attached to so many weird happenings in this place. But as she's in there, she hears a sound coming from her daughter's nursery. Now this is really concerning because when it happened the first time, she was pregnant with her daughter. Now her daughter like lives in that room. And so she immediately gets up from the bathroom. She's going down the hall to investigate. And it sounds like there's something tapping in her daughter's room. My cat has joined us for the story, but she goes into her daughter's room. She's like, "What is this tapping sound?" And that's when she realizes it's the blinds in her daughter's room, like hitting the window over and over and over again, as if somebody is sitting there and like moving them back and forth. She also then notices that her daughter is like upright in her crib. Her hair is a mess. Her daughter is like freaking out, crying. So she immediately scoops her daughter up. She takes her to the bedroom. She has her other child in there. Both of the babies are crying and screaming and everybody's freaked out. And she's on the phone with her in-laws like, "What do I do?" Her father-in-law comes to the home to come check things out, just make sure everything's okay. And of course, nobody's there. She's kind of like, "I'm sorry I called you out. I swear to you, I know what I heard." And shortly after this, that apartment, that place where they lived, actually got broken into. And so they immediately moved to a townhome, which is where the rest of this story takes place. She probably at this time wasn't thinking much about the paranormal activity and the weird mimic stuff from the last place because they're in a new home and she had bigger fish to fry. Like their place actually got broken into. But she would sometimes notice that her daughter's closet light would be on when she would enter into the room and she just would ignore it. She was like, "I don't really want to bring this energy into the new place. I'm not going to acknowledge it." Until one day her husband calls out to her and he says, "Were you just watching me go to the bathroom?" And she calls back from the living room. She's like, "No, I'm on my phone. I'm watching YouTube in the living room." And he says, "I saw you again like last time, but this time you were peeking around the door at me while I was using the bathroom." And of course she's freaked out because her husband just saw that thing again after so much time without any activity. And so she starts cleansing the space pretty routinely and the activity dies down again. And once again, she's like, "Okay, we're in the clear." And then there's an incident where they have a bunch of guests over and her daughter drops a glass and she decides to put her daughter into her room in this new townhouse just so they can clean up the glass and she won't get hurt on any of it. Her husband is like, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it. You stay with her." And so she stays in the room with her daughter. They're like laying on the floor playing with toys when suddenly her daughter sits up And she's like a year and a half, 2 years at this point. And she lets out this blood-curdling scream while looking into her closet, the same closet where the lights had been coming on occasionally, and the original person who sent me this email doesn't know why. She walks around this room and she's telling whatever this is, like, no, leave her alone, get out of here. Eventually, her daughter calms down. And at the time of sending me this email, she had said that her husband was leaving for 9 months. And she felt like the thing was going to act up again once he was gone. I didn't find this email until literally like today, and it was sent a year ago. So I'm going to email her back and ask if anything else happened. But in my original email, she asked for advice. So if you guys have any ideas for how to get rid of this thing, if she's still dealing with it, let her know down below. She'll probably read the comments. But yeah, this is such a terrifying mimic story. So what do you think? Stay spooky, friends.